history of South Africa. And before we move to that, we need to first have a moment of silence in remembering our dear ones, our foreign teachers, members of staff. This included Nance Faith Musoke and Mr. Kafumbe Degracious Muteweta. I request you to observe a moment of silence. May their souls rest in eternal peace. We are done with that. I wanted to inquire from you where you stopped in the history of South Africa. I wanted to know where you stopped in the history of South Africa.
The apartheid policy.
Yes?
The apartheid policy.
Apartheid policy. Which stream is that? Apartheid policy.
3 East 2.
3 East
2.
Oh, my
What
teacher, we haven't reached there.
Yes?
3 is 2, and some of us
didn't reach.
Yeah.
Some of us haven't reached
Teacher,
there.
we aren't yet there.
You are not there.
Yes.
3 North, where did you stop?
Apartheid policy.
Apartheid policy. What about
We
East?
finished the syllabus.
Yes? Yes? Anybody from West? Members? Anybody from West?
Missionary activities in South Africa.
Missionary activity in South Africa. Did you cover the Great Trek?
Yes.
Yes.
All of
teacher.
you? Yes?
Teacher.
Yes?
We covered.
Yes?
Yes, teacher, we covered this.
You covered the Great Trek.
We covered this.
The Great Trek includes the causes of the Great Trek, the course of the Great Trek. It also includes the Great Trek Wars, which included the Battle of Vegico, the Blood River Battle. Did you cover all that?
Yes,
Yes.
teacher.
Yeah.
I'm talking to girls of which stream?
West.
West. Did you also cover, after covering the Battle of Vegico and the Blood River Battle, did you also cover the British annexation of the Boer republics?
Yes, teacher.
That was
teacher.
Natal and Orange Free State. Did you cover that?
Yes, teacher.
And did you look at the activity, the career of Piet Letif and Andries Pretorius?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
What about the Anglo-Zulu War?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Then from there, did you cover the defensive states?
Yes, teacher.
But I'm talking to the Westerners. What about other streams? I hear only Westerners talking. I don't hear
Teacher, we didn't cover up.
Easterners.
We covered defensive.
Yes. So you covered the defensive state, and that was the Musheshe. Did you cover Musheshe, the Basuto nation?
Teacher, for East, we
Yes.
cover.
Yes.
For East, we didn't cover.
For East, you did what?
We didn't cover the Anglo-Zulu wars and Oba Bushesh, Oba what.
You didn't cover the Anglo-Zulu War.
Yes, we didn't cover those.
but you covered the Great Trek Wars.
Yes, teacher, we covered the Great Trek Wars.
The
But I
Great
don't-
Trek Wars. Are you from East?
Yes, East one.
East one. So you covered the Great Trek Wars.
Yes, we
You
did.
covered the Boer annexations of the British annexation of the Boer republics.
Yes, we covered with Mr. The other teacher, I've forgotten his name.
Mr. Chiragila Mustafa.
Yeah, Mr. Mustafa. We covered with Mr. Mustafa.
The British annexations. Then from there, so you just missed the Anglo-Zulu War. Eh?
Yes, teacher.
The defensive state, you told me the Basuto nation, you covered. Huh?
Yes, teacher. Teacher, I don't recall that. I'm not sure. I can't lie you. Yes.
Okay. I was suggesting, because when I was trying to talk to your teachers, especially Mr. Chiragila Mustafa, he was telling me that you were handling, the last team was, we were looking at the Great Trek Wars. But these Great Trek Wars, when you go to West, the Westerners, you covered those Great Trek Wars. Together, but these other streams did not cover the Great Trek Wars. Are we together? So I am requesting, and I am of the view that as we are moving, we start from the Great Trek Wars and we shall move forward like that. But after the Great Trek Wars, we shall also cover the Anglo-Zulu War, which will come after the Great Trek Wars. Then we move to defensive states, and there we shall take another direction. Okay?
Okay.
Now let's continue with the coverage. We are going to look at the Great Trek Wars, and the first Great Trek War that we are going to look at was the battle of Vegecup. The Battle of Vegecup, that is the battle we are going to look at. The Battle of Vegecup took place in 1836. It was fought between the Boer Trekkers and the Boer Trekkers and the Muzilikazi. Okay? Fought between the Boer Trekkers and Muzilikazi. The Boer Trekkers were led by Andries Potgieter, Andries Pretorius. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I can hear you very well now. Okay, members. So we are looking, the Ndebele people were led by, okay. The Ndebele people were led by Muzilikazi, whereas the Boer Trekkers were led by Potgieter. Let's look at the causes of the Battle of Vegecup. Remember, this battle took place when the Boer Trekkers wanted to establish settlement. They wanted to settle in the interior of South Africa after leaving the Cape. It's a reason, so they wanted to settle, and in so doing, the Ndebele people and the Muzilikas never wanted this, and they therefore fought the Boers. So this led to the Battle of Vegecup. Here I mean that when the Boers left the Cape they entered into South Africa, in the interior of South Africa. They found there the Ndebele people under Muzirikazi. They wanted to settle in the interior of South Africa after failing with the British at the Cape. So in entering the interior of South Africa, they found there the Ndebele people. They had to fight with them to make sure that they also get settlement in the interior of South Africa. So in so doing, this one led to the outbreak of the Battle of Vegico. So the causes are here, the causes of the Battle of Vegico. The warrior nature of the Ndebele drove them to opt for the war. In other words, the Ndebele were fighters, they were warriors, they used to fight. So when they saw the Boers trekkers coming to the interior of South Africa, they decided to fight such that they resist the establishment of the Boers in their areas. Then another point, the long period of resistance that the Ndebele had, especially against Shaka. Remember that when Shaka came into power in 1818, he started expanding the Zulu kingdom by acquiring very many tribes and people to incorporate them in his kingdom. So the Ndebele people were able to resist Shaka. So when they resisted Shaka, they had that zeal, they had that superiority and courage that if they were able to resist Shaka, they could also be able to resist the Boer trekkers. This caused the Battle of Vegico. Then the next point is Muzirikazi never trusted the whites since he had about their relationship with the Xhosa. Muzirikazi never trusted the whites since he had their relationship with the Xhosa. You know the Xhosa, these are the people who fought with the Boers at the Cape. They fought the wars known as the Kafiri Wars. And in these wars, the Xhosa experienced a lot of pain. The Xhosa lost a lot to the Boers, their culture, their cattle, their land, and everything. This experience, this experience was not liked by Muzirikazi. Muzirikazi never wanted his people to face the same consequences which the Xhosa faced with the Boers. So when Muzirikazi heard that the Boers have come in the interior of South Africa, he decided to fight against them such that they don't establish their settlement in his area. So this led to the Battle of, which page? You're asking me which page? It is page 42. It is page 42. You can look at page 42. That's the one I'm looking at in the notes that we gave you. So the next point is the desire by the Ndebele to maintain their independence. The Ndebele people wanted to maintain their independence. What we call maintaining, we have those words. Maintain, you maintain what you have. They wanted to maintain, they wanted to protect. They had not yet lost their independence, like some other African tribes in South Africa, which had been taken by the whites. The Ndebele people, for them, they still had their independence. So they wanted to maintain, to still have their independence. And when the Boer trekkers came, who wanted to take away their land and their property and everything, the Ndebele people did not like it. So in order to maintain and protect their independence, this led to the outbreak of the Battle of Vegico. Then the Boer had no respect for Muzirikazi and the Ndebele chief, which made him to declare war in order to teach them a lesson. In other words, the Boers had no respect for Muzirikazi. They didn't respect him as a leader. You know the whites, the way how they used in those days, undermining Africans. So they had no respect for Muzirikazi. And this annoyed Muzirikazi, and therefore he decided to teach them a lesson by fighting, and this led to the Battle of Vegiko. Then the enmity. I want someone to spell for me that word, enmity. Who can spell for me that word, enmity?
Shahia.
N-M-I-T-Y.
E-N-I-T-Y.
M-I-T-Y. M.
M I
I-T-Y.
T
T.
Y.
Y.
Yes, thank you very much. That is the right spelling of the word enmity. Okay, and here it is E-N-M-I-T-Y, not this one. Enmity. Okay, some people write enmity and they put E here. Okay, we don't put that E. This is the correct word of enmity. So when you're writing the word enmity, you write the upper one, E-N. You don't put E in between N. So that's very good. So the long-term enmity, the point is the enmity which was between Dandebele, Gurigo, and other African tribes. In other words, there was enmity that existed between Dandebele people and other African tribes. So this enmity that existed, the Boer trekkers were in support of other groups against the Ndebele people. The Boer trekkers were in support of other societies against the Ndebele people. This annoyed the Ndebele or Muzirikazi, and therefore led to the Battle of Vegiko. Then the determination of the Boers to settle in the area, the Boers were much determined. Remember, they had left the Cape in disarray. They had left the Cape when the situation had become hard for them. The British had made the situation hard. You know what? When the British brought the Black Circuit Courts, when the British tried to equalize, to bring equality between the Africans and the Boers, which annoyed the Boers, and they therefore decided to move in Nigeria. So they could not go back to the Cape. They had to find all the possible means of settling at the Cape. So in so doing, as they were trying to establish themselves at the Cape, forcing themselves to settle, then the other people also were saying, we should not take out our land. We need our land. We don't have space for you. And these ones saying, we also have to settle. So because of that pressure from the both sides, the side of the Boer trekkers and the side of the Ndebele people under Muzirikazi, of course, the Battle of Vegiko had to take place and to see who can take it all. So that one caused the determination of the Boers. Then another one, presence of the guns on both sides also encouraged them to conflict. In other words, the two sides had guns. Muzirikazi had acquired guns. And of course, the Boers, trekkers had guns. Because there were some previous wars which took place. The wars of expulsion, Mefekeni, under Shaka. In those wars, Muzirikazi acquired some guns for protection. So for him, he looked at himself being also strong enough to resist the whites, the Boer trekkers. At the same time, the Boer trekkers also had guns. So all of them were looked at themselves being able to fight and win. This one led to the outbreak of the Battle of Vegiko. Then the next point, the long-standing enmity. There are 2 points. The long-standing enmity between the Boers and Africans. The long-standing enmity between the Boers and Africans. This enmity, we trace it right from the arrival of the Dutch at the Cape. When the Dutch came at the Cape, they came and this were when they came, they tried to displace Africans. So the whites and Africans were not friends. And when Muzirikazi saw the whites, the Boer trekkers come in this area, of course, that had to take place because he saw the enemies of Africans. So this long-standing enmity that existed for a long period of time between Africans and the whites led to the Battle of Vegico. Then another point, the earlier victories of Muzirikas against the Boer trekkers. There were some Boer trekkers who arrived earlier. Those ones who came and wanted to settle in the area of Muzirikas had defeated them. And when he defeated them, he thought that he could also defeat this another bigger group. This could not happen. And therefore, this first Muzirikas, which page? I'm still on page 42. So the longer standing, I was talking about the point of the earlier victory of Muzirikas, where Muzirikas succeeded in the struggle in the war against the earlier Boer trekkers. This made him confident that he could also win this one, which led to the Battle of Vegico. Then the need by the Boers to revenge for their earlier defeat by Muzirikas. And we have talked about the earlier defeat of Muzirikas. Then here we are talking about the need by the Boers to revenge on the Ndebele people for their earlier defeat, meaning that the Boers trekkers had been earlier defeated by the Ndebele people. So this, because they had been defeated by Ndebele people and they had lost their popularity, the Boers wanted to revive their superiority. In so doing, this led to the Battle of Vegico. Then the Boers' arrogance and pride, superiority, they did not, the Boers did not respect Africans. They undermined us. They undermined Africans. They looked at them as inferior people. So this one created, misunderstanding between the Africans and the Boer trekkers, which led to the Battle of Vegico. Then the need to preserve the culture from the Boer infiltration. So when the Boers came in the interior of South Africa, their activities would change the African culture, meaning that Africans would adopt the foreign way of living. So the Africans wanted to preserve, they wanted to protect, to maintain their culture. They never wanted to lose the culture, which was social, political, especially social and political. Because when you come to social political aspects, the king. When it comes to social aspects, the initiation ceremonies, the marriage, everything. Africans were polygamous. Whereas the whites were, for them, they could marry one person. So now Africans never wanted to take those foreign cultures. They wanted to remain with their own culture. So this made them to fight the whites who had come up with a new cultures. And that one led to the Battle of Vegico, maintaining, protecting, preserving. I don't know whether I've left out any point. If I've left out any point, which I've not talked about, please mention it such that I can explain it. there is no question, I will go to the impact. Yes.
Food raids between the Boers and the Ndebele people.
What?
Food raids.
Yes, food raids. Food raids between the Boers and the Ndebele people. In other words, the Ndebele people, the Boer trackers, they are the one who used to raid and take away the Ndebele cattle and their food. So this one, taking away their cows, their animals, and food, annoyed the Ndebele people because this is the food that they were relying on for living. And when these Boers came, the Boer trackers came, of course they had to take away, to steal their food. So in so doing, in order to for the Ndebele people or Africans to remain with their food, this caused the Battle of Vegico. They wanted to remain with their food. Yet the trackers were interested in taking away their food, their animals and crops, the gardens, which the Ndebele had established. The Boer trackers were interested in taking them out. So this one caused the Battle of Vegico. Yes, next point that I've not talked about.
Mistaken identity.
Mistaken identity. Yes, the mistaken identity. Africans looked at Europeans as being wizards, as being devils. The way how the whites looked, you know, the whites, they looked, when I say whites, they were whites. And that color to Africans, it looked to be a color of devils or wizards. So it was weird. When they saw that color coming to their area, they never wanted it to settle because they looked at, they saw the devil coming. So it was like the devil coming to settle in their areas. So Africans never wanted the devils to settle in their areas. And this one caused only to the Battle of Vegico. Yes, next point that I've forgotten. Are they over? I'm going to the effects. Okay, there is this one. The Boers came in big numbers. The Boers came in big numbers in the area of Ndebele people, which scared them. There were very many, of course. And being very many, this meant that their land is going to be taken away, everything. And so the Boers were in big numbers. This annoyed the Ndebele people, and therefore caused the Battle of Vegico. Then the natural calamities such as the drought and famine that hit the two groups caused the hunger. There was natural calamity such as drought. This hit the two groups. The Ndebele people were affected and the Boer trackers were affected. Both of them wanted food. And you know when people want food, they have to fight and look for it. Yes, I'm going to another area, and that is the impact. The impact of the Battle of Vegico. The impact of the Battle of Vegico. So when you go there, the Battle of Vegico left a far-reaching positive and negative impact in South Africa that can be seen as below. And the first point is the Ndebele were defeated at the Battle of Vegico by the Boer trackers. And that one, there is no doubt that the Ndebele people were defeated, meaning that the Boer trackers won. Then the Ndebele were displaced and forced as far as the Limpopo Valley. They moved, they extended that, they left that area and moved as far as they went to that area of Limpopo Valley. So they extended in the interior of South Africa. Then many people were killed on both sides, on the side of the Boers and on the side of the Africans. There was massive loss of property, such as crops. Then another one, the Boers recovered their lost properties from the Ndebele, such as cattle that the Ndebele had stolen. Remember, during the war, the Ndebele stole the Boers' cattle. So the Ndebele the Boers were able to recover the cattle from the Ndebele. Yes. Anything? Then another point, boosted the confidence of the Boers military since they had defeated one of their strongest groups of Africa. The Boers' confidence was boosted when they defeated the Muzilikas. Their confidence was boosted, and they realized that they could win any African battle after defeating the Ndebele. Then another one led to the creation of Orange Free State. Led to the creation of Orange Free State. Excuse me, girls, when you hear these words, Orange Free State, don't take them for granted. Remember that Cape was under British. Okay? The Cape was under the British. The laws governing the Cape were not the Boers. Many class members, are you there?
Yes, teacher.
Girls, are you there?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Jump into place. Hey, I thought it was yours.
Oh,
Didn't you see me taking it from the other side? No. Now again, you're putting it back.
some noise. Why could you
Goodness, mute.
can you extend that feet away? Okay.
Thank
Or you can
Jakar,
just mute yourself. Then you remove it and you continue with the lesson. Okay. We said that the Orange Free State, was a state that could be free from the laws that were governing the Cape. The Cape, now the laws governing the Cape were the British laws. The British had come up with various laws and regulations which were governing the Cape. Now, the Orange Free State would be free from the laws of the Cape. The Boers would be free from the laws of the Cape. They would set up their own laws and in Orange Free. That's why we call it Orange Free State. A free state, the Boer state. When you mean the Boer state, the laws of the Boers were the one to govern in the Orange Free State. They could not the laws of the British at the Cape. That's why they call it the Orange Free State, the Boer Republic of Natal. When they say Republic of Natal, it was an independent state from the Cape. And it is a reason why the Boers moved away from the Cape to come in the interior, such that they set up their own free states. Girls, you need to understand those words very well. Then Orange Free State, then to another point, led to the formation of Windbag City by the Boers to celebrate the formation of the Windbag City. In other words, they came up with their own city called Windbag. Then trade in the area was disrupted due to insecurity. Trade that moved within the interior of South Africa. When the Boer trekkers came and wars took place, the traders could not easily move from one place to another to trade with Africans and the whites, of course. Not only the whites, but there were also some other traders who were carrying out trade with the people of the interior of South Africa. So this trade was paralyzed because of insecurity. So there was increased poverty in the area due to the great destruction caused by the war. There was what we have said, increased poverty. Poverty came up because trade had been paralyzed. There was also decline in agriculture. When agriculture declined, this meant that people could not earn a living, the traders could not move, and therefore poverty had to come in. Then misery and suffering increased among the Ndebele. Then it made Ndebele people refugees. After being dislodged from their land, they became refugees, they went to other areas. People lost confidence in their traditional beliefs due to their defeat. In other words, the Ndebele people had relied on traditional beliefs and witchcraft to win the Boer trekkers. When this one failed, it made them to lose confidence in their traditional beliefs, and therefore had to take on some other stuff. So increased slavery in this area. There was increased slavery. Remember, slavery was at the Cape before the coming of the British. When the British came up and stopped slavery of Africans, then the Boers moved in the interior of South Africa, established their states, and awakened slavery, where Africans were doing work without being paid by the whites in Orange Free State, in Natal, and everywhere. So this one increased the slavery. You cannot say led to slavery, but you say increased the slavery because the slavery had been there in South Africa, brought by the Boers. So slavery increased. Look what that statement, increased the slavery. Then another one, the formation of Orange Free State in this area increased the conflicts between the Boers and the Basuto people. When you talk about the Basuto, these are the ones who were under Mosheshe. Okay, they were under Mosheshe. They had established their own state, the Basuto, under Mosheshe. This was an independent state that had resisted Mefekene period, Shaka's wars, and being trial. So for them, they were strong enough. So when the Boers entered the interior of South Africa and took over, the independence and stability of Basuto nation was threatened. The Basuto nation looked at themselves as being the next people to be taken away by the whites. So that point is very okay. Increased, it is said that Ndebele, where is it? It led to, I saw it somewhere here. It made Ndebele, people lost confidence, increased the slavery, the formation of Orange Free State, and this area increased the conflicts between the Boers and the Basuto. The Basuto I've talked about, them, Mosheshe, then the Boers. The Ndebele had been eliminated, but the Basuto nation was there under Mosheshe. The Swazi nation was there under Sobuza and Muswati, King Muswati. Those ones were independent states. So when the Boers came in the interior and defeated the Muzilikas, of course, the other African states also got worried, like the Basuto nation. You can even add on here the Swazi nation if you want, but this one is self-explanatory. Then the Ndebele cattle were stolen by the Boers after their defeat. And Ndebele cattle were stolen. That was the war booty. Then later it led to the unification of Natal Republic and Orange Free State. Remember, after the Muzilikazi being overthrown, Natal, where the Zulu were under Dingane, we shall see another battle, the Battle of Blood River, where the Boers again fought, the Boer Trekkers fought Dingane and overthrew him and established the Boer Republic of Natal. After establishing the Boer Republic of Natal, these ones were unified. The Boer Republic of Natal, these ones were unified. The Republic of Natal and Orange Free State, those were now Boer states. They had been taken. So after looking at the Battle of Vegikrop, our next topic would be the battle, the Blood River battle. Is the one we are going to look at when the Boers are also, the Boer Trekkers are also trying to take away Natal, okay, from Dingane, from the Zulu. Okay. Yes. Then boosted Boers' superiority complex over the Africans. Boers' superiority complex was uplifted. Then some Africans became survivors in their on the farms of the Boers. Yes, Africans used to own their farms. Now they became survivors. They could just work on the Boers' farms to earn a living, to earn a living. So they became survivors. The one who were controlling now became survivors. That was not good. Then it led to the mistreatment of the African survivors in these areas. The Africans who left, who did not move away. Some went in other states. Some went in Basuto. Others went to Swazi. Others moved as far as Limpopo. Others moved and extended to find, security and comfort. But there are those that did not move away. They stayed in the area. Those who stayed in the area with the Boers, they indeed suffered a lot. So in conclusion, the impact of the War of Vegikrop. Okay, when we are discussing that, we are looking at the conclusion, we say positive on the impact. The impact of the Battle of Vegikrop were social, political, and economic, positive and negative in nature. That is how our conclusion is supposed to be on the side of effects or impact. Impact, they are social, political, and economic, both positive and negative. Then the causes are always social, political, and economic. Okay, so that is where the Battle of Vegikrop ends. And now let's move on to the, if we still have time, we can still move on to the next topic. And this is the Battle of Blood River. The Blood River. River Common. It was called Blood River. Blood River and Common River. So the name of the river, it was River Common. But because of much bloodshed, that's why it was called the Blood River. So that river now has two names, Blood River and River Common. So it lost its original name, Common, and now called Blood River. So the Blood River battle, it is the one that we are going to look at. Of course, this battle, also another group of the Boer trekkers, the one, yes? 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 Yes, girls? Okay, they were the Boers still were the one that wanted to establish their settlement in the interior of South Africa. So let us start the Battle of Blood River. The Battle of Blood River, Stock River, that is page 43 in your notes, was a war between the Zulu and the British. The war took place on 16th December 1838 after the refusal of Dingane to fulfill the promises he had made to Piet Retief, but instead had him killed and other Boers. In other words, when these Boers came in the interior of South Africa, they made some negotiations, peace talks with Dingane, the king of the Zulu. They had agreed. There were some cattle.
Turn your private chat.
Can you silence
So for
girls?
daily participants in club.
There are some.
You can chat. Someone, anyone you know.
Amira, mute.
There are some cows of the Torokwa. Some cows which the Torokwa people had taken. These cattle belonged to the Zulu, Dingane. So the Torokwa people had taken those cattle away. Now, when the Boers trekkers came, they wanted, the Dingane wanted the Boers to assist them recover their lost cattle to the Torokwa people. So in that, Dingane would compensate the Boers with the land. So now this was the agreement which was made between the Boer trekkers, Piet Retief, and Dingane, the king of the Zulu. Now, Piet Retief was able to recover the cattle, the lost cattle, and returned them to Dingane. This one annoyed Dingane. So if the Boer trekkers were able to recover the cattle taken by the Torokwa people, they could also be able to destroy us. And therefore, Dingane organized a party on which he invited the Boers. The Boers came with their leader, Piet Retief, and when they came, Dingane ordered his warriors to kill the Boer trekkers, kill them, smash them. So the Boer trekkers were killed. This one annoyed the Boers. Of course, the Boer trekkers got new leadership, and this leadership moved on, and it is the reason why the Boers were fighting against Dingane. It's the reason why they were fighting, because the promise had not been fulfilled. So the first point there is the point was the refusal of Dingane to fulfill the promise he had made to Piet Retief, but instead had him killed. And this one led to the battle of the blood, led to the Blood River battle. Then it was fought along River Common, which was nicknamed the Blood River due to massive bloodshed around this massive bloodshed around during this war. That's why it took the name Bloody River. The Boers were led by Pretorius and Race. Sorry. Huh? The Boers were led by Andres. Pretorius, okay, and Mary's, whereas Africans were led, or the Zulu were led by Dingane. Okay. By 15th December 1838, Boer commandos had captured a long river Common, which scared Africans. The issue of now we are through with the introduction, where we said the Battle of Vegekoop took place on 16th December 1838, fought between Zulu under Dingane and the Boer trackers were under Andries Pretorius. Was it between the Zulu and the British? No, the war was between the British, the Boer trackers. The war was between the Boer trackers and the Zulu. All together? But I have seen I'm answering that question. I've seen there. But there was a war which took place between the British and the Zulu. When the Boers had been defeated, that one we shall see it after the British annexed the Boer Republic, Natal, and took over. They found when Dingane was defeated by the Boers, trackers. Mpande came in, when Mpande, who was incompetent, then Setewayo, the son of Mpande, is the one which conflicted with the British, where we shall see the Anglo-Zulu in the near future. But now the one we are talking about here, this is what took place between the Boer trackers and the Zulu under Dingane. Altogether, Boers were led by Andries Pretorius, and the British, the Africans were led by Dingane. Then the issue of natural, let's look at the causes now.
Teacher,
the issue of natural, yes.
Isn't it said that the war was among the British, sorry, the Boers and the Zulu, but the British came in to like help to side with the Africans so that they could take Natal, something like that.
That one came in at a later stage when the Boers had defeated Dingane. Altogether, when the Boers defeated Dingane, the British had to ally with Africans to defeat the Boers who had established the Republic of Natal. That one came in later. But this one we are looking at, Dingane is still controlling Natal. Now the Boer trackers want to remove Dingane and take over Natal. The Boer trackers want to remove Dingane and take over Natal. Altogether, They want to take over Natal. And when they took over Natal, in the near future, the British also came and took away Natal from the Boers. The British annexation of Natal. Altogether, that is when Africans allied with the British to make sure that the Boers are defeated in Natal. Okay? Yes. So there was the issue of natural calamities such as famine, drought, increased hunger, leading to the war. In other words, there was natural calamities such as famine, drought, which increased hunger, leading to the war. The mistaken identity where Africans accuse the whites for being wizards. That point is coming back. We talked about the other side, the mistaken identity where Africans were not respecting the whites, okay, looking at them as wizards. Then another point, the need by the Boers to have Natal at all. The Boers at all times, since they had come from the other side, they never wanted to lose. They wanted to forcefully. They wanted, by all means, they did what they had to do, all what it takes to make sure that Natal is under their control. So this one caused the Blood River Battle. Then the Zulu determination to protect their ancestral land. Remember, Shaka had died in 1828, succeeded by Dingane. When Dingane took over, had to protect and preserve the Zulu kingdom, which had been created in 1818 by Shaka. So that's why the Zulu had to fight to make sure that their territory and culture, ancestral land is protected. The next point, determination of the Boers not to go back. That one, we talked about it. The Boers had come and never wanted to go back at that camp. Then the next point, the need by the Bantu to protect their independence. To protect their independence, members, the Zulu had not lost their independence. So don't say, when you say protect, preserve, you use that word. But when you say regain, meaning that you had lost it, now you are regaining it. Here it is protect, preserve. They wanted to protect, they wanted to preserve. The early African were preserving independence, culture. Then the one which came in, the Bambatha, we shall see those ones. Africans now wanted to regain. They wanted to regain their independence, or which they had lost. So here we are still using it, protect and preserve. We are not reached at that stage where Africans would be regaining when they had lost it to the whites. Of course, they lost it, and some Africans wanted to regain it in the future. We shall see. But here we use protect, preserve. When you don't use that word, you might not get the point. So protect. African wanted to protect. Another point, the need by the Zulu to possess Boer cattle. They wanted to take our Boer cattle, and this one caused a war. Then arrogance and pride. Arrogance, pride, superiority of the Boers. The Boers never respected Africans. Africans were seen as being inferior, and in this way, in order for the African to protect, to preserve their superiority, this led to the Battle of Vegico. No, this led to the Battle of Blood River, the Blood River Battle. The Zulu were trying to send a warning to the British, whom they had expected to be following them. Yes. Which topic are we on? The topic we are on is called Great Trek Wars. Great Trek Wars. And there were
Thank you.
two, you have got it? Great Trek Wars. And there were two, the Vegicup and the Blood River. That's a topic. In fact, it is a subtopic, and the big topic is the Great Trek. That's a big topic. Then the subtopic within the Great Trek is the Great Trek Wars. And these were the Great Trek Wars, Boers with Africans. We shall see other wars, the Boer annexations, the British annexations of the Boer republics. Okay, the next point, the Zulu arrogance, we have finished. The Boers need to set up an independent state of Natal. They wanted to set up the Republic of Natal, of course, independent from the Cape, with the laws of the Boers governing. Then another one, the murder of Piet Retief. I have skipped some. Let me. Zulu, we are trying to send possession of the guns. Possession of the guns. The Boers had the guns, and the British also. The Boers had guns, and the Zulu also had guns. So both sides had guns. Then the murder of Piet Retief. When I talk about the murder of Piet Retief, I've talked about how Piet Retief was murdered. So when Piet Retief was murdered, the Boer leader, this one annoyed them, and therefore the Boers had to revenge. So that was a revenge. Okay. Then the warrior nature of the Zulu. The Zulu were warrior. You know them, right from Shaka's time. Mefekeni. For them, they were fighters. Because they were fighters and they saw the strangers coming, of course they had to fight, and this led to the battle, the Blood River battle. The destruction of the Boers settlement along Natal. In other words, the Boers had tried to establish themselves in Natal, along Natal, not in Natal, but along Natal, because Natal was under the control of Dingani. So when they tried to establish themselves, trying to come in the interior of Natal, the Africans, the Dingani people, the Zulu, destroyed their homes, which annoyed the Boers, of course, and this will lead to the Blood River battle. Then appointment of Pretorius as a military leader to replace Piet Retief caused the war, because the latter was a bellicose. The latter was a bellicose. Bellicose. I want to write this word here. I don't know it. Who knows the meaning of that word? Bellicose. Who can give us the meaning of the word bellicose? Bellicose. Bellicose. Someone who is quarrelsome, aggressive, warmonger is a bellicose. So Andreas, the one who replaced Piet Retief, the one who replaced Piet Retief, Andreas Pretorius, was a bellicose. He was quarrelsome. He was aggressive. Even in society, you can see someone, that person always wants to cause war, chaos. In that person who always wants to cause chaos and, fighting among people, is called a bellicose. So the person who replaced Andreas Pretorius, who replaced Piet Retief, was a warmonger, was a fighter, was quarrelsome, was aggressive. So we can incorporate all those words within one word, bellicose. So because of that character, that trait made him cause the war between the Boer Trekkers and the Dingani. Then the next point, the failure of Dingane to honor his promise of the province of Natal to the Boers, if they had returned his cattle from Torokwa also to the war. I earlier explained this. Dingane refused to honor the promise. The Boer trekkers were able to return the cows which the Torokwa people had taken. They returned them to Dingane. Dingane was in compensation in return to give them land and settlement. Unfortunately, Dingane did not fulfill the promise of giving the Boers land. This annoyed the Boers and therefore led to the battle, led to the Blood River battle. Dingane refused to fulfill the promise. Then strategic location of Natal. Teacher, who were the leader of the Boer, storm? In other words, these ones were these were fighters of the Boers. It was a fighting group under Boers, which was under Andreas Pretorius. So when he came on top, of course, he had to do the need by fighting. But in this point, to consider one thing, the point is appointment of Andreas Pretorius. I'm explaining the previous point because I've seen a feedback here, which I'm trying to react or to answer. The point is appointment of appointment of Pretorius as a military leader of the Boerstore to replace Piet-Retief. Boerstore, these were the fighters of the Boers. Okay, so that is the point. And replaced Piet-Retief. Thank you for that feedback. I've seen it. Yes, when you have a question and you forward it here on the screen, I can be able to see it and I will answer it, of course, positively. So strategic location of Natal, we said that Natal was located along Indian Ocean, whereby it was in the place where it could be easily trade with foreigners. So this was important as far as trade and commerce was concerned. So when the Boers came and wanted to take away Natal from the Zulu could not allow because they were taking them away from a strategic place which was near a water body that could easily make their could easily allow them to carry out trade with external people. So this one led to the outbreak of the battle, the Blood River battle. Then the role of leaders on either sides. The role of leaders on either sides. Either sides will mean the side of the Boers. Who was on the side of the Boers?
Andreas Pretorius.
So we are talking about on the side of the Zulu.
Dingane.
Dingane and his King Dingane. Yes, those people, their activities were I call it war mood. They were war mood. They were in the mood of war. And of course, if the leaders, the two leaders are in mood of war, the war can take place. So they were in the mood of war. That's how I can explain that point. Then Africans need to preserve their culture. Africans needed or wanted to preserve their culture from the Boer contamination. The foreign culture of the Boers. Africans wanted to preserve their culture, to protect their culture. And this one led to the Battle of Vegico. of blood liver. Then Dingane's fear that the Boers would support his rival Mpande. Okay, remember that when Shaka died, Mpande was there, who was his half brother, distant relative. That was Mpande. But Dingane was real brother of what? Of Shaka. So he was the next of kin to become the next leader of Zulu. Now, but you know, you never underestimate your enemy, however small that enemy would be, because Mpande was incompetent. Mpande had no military skills. Mpande had no leadership skills. Mpande was just, I don't know how I can call. He was just a useless, person there. But half a brother of what? So he could, but Dingan did not underestimate him. Okay? So when the Boers came, Dingan of course feared they would cooperate with Mpande and take away his leadership. And we shall see what happened, because Mpande took over in the near future. So Dingan feared Mpande, the British would cooperate with Mpande, and this one led to the Battle of Blood River, to fight the Boers who would cooperate with Mpande and take away the leadership of Dingan. So that one caused the Battle of Blood River. Then the next point is Dingane, many Zulu were running away from Zulu Kingdom and getting refuge from Natal. This fought the relationship between Dingane and the Boers. The point is that many Zulu were running away from Zulu Kingdom and getting refuge from Natal. This is part of the relationship. They were running away from Zulu Kingdom. If they are running away from Zulu Kingdom, that meant that they were living in Natal, because Natal was under Zulu control. So we can modify this and say they were running away from Zulu Kingdom. Zulu Kingdom. As they were running away from Zulu Kingdom, Dingane felt insecure. Why were the many Zulu running away from Zulu Kingdom? They saw the arrival of the Boer trekkers along their areas, and they feared the next move. So that's why they had to move away. They were leaving the kingdom to go to seek for asylum somewhere, to go and settle in the areas, because when the whites arrived, and some of them had already got a hint what had taken place in Orange Free State, where the Boers arrived and Africans were fought under Muzilikas. So when also it happened this time, that the Boers also were here, the Zulu people, some people feared and they started leaving. So in order to strengthen his kingdom and make sure that people do not run away from his kingdom, that is Dingane, he had to fight the Boers. And this led to the battle, the Blood River battle, to create confidence in his people. And they remain. You can't control an area without people. You have to control an area with the people. So that one led to the battle. Yes.
Who was Mpande?
Mpande was half brother of Shaka.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Who came in after Dingane had been overthrown by the Boers and Luis Pretorius. Are we together? Mpande came in. So the next point is, since Boers had large herds of cattle, let me see that teacher, where they, it is, please take back the notification such that I can answer. Okay, it is not there. Let me continue with this one. Since Boers had large herds of cattle, Dingane expected them to be, Dingane expected them to, Dingane wanted to take them. So that one caused the battle of Vegikup. Then Dingane never wanted to have stronger neighbors like the Boers who had come near him. Another one, Dingane heard about the battle of Vegikup, which I told you that he had the other battle of Vegikup. What happened? So what happened with those people? Dingane decided to fight the Boers because they had known what they did to Muzirikas. We had just seen that. Then the need by Pretorius to revenge for the deaths of his brothers, for the deaths of his Boer brothers. These were killed by Dingane. Dingane never wanted to lose the confidence of elders for giving away ancestral land. Dingane never wanted to lose the confidence of elders. Where the British, so the Boers taken away the ancestral land. Teacher, who was Shaka's real brother? Dingane. Boers were encouraged by the discovery of the unique lager. Excuse me, I don't know, the person on the camera can allow me to explain the unique lager. Lager, the word is like this. Some people write it like that, lager, others write it like this. In other books, it appears as lager, the Boer lager. This was, if I could draw a small circle here, okay, this was a lager. Okay, a lager. These were wagons. These are wagons which the Boers were using to transport their goods or their property when they are coming from the Cape. They used these wagons. These wagons, we called them lager. Now, in between here, they put thorns, such that the Boers, the African, the Ingane people cannot enter. So all Boers were inside here. The Boers were here, surrounded by the ladders. Thorns had been put on these sides here to protect them. So the Boers could not penetrate, so the Ingane people, Zulu people, could not penetrate and reach inside. These are the protection, the ring of protection, which the Boers put, and that one was called the Boer lager. Okay, this protected the Boers from Africans to kill them. It is what encouraged them to fight the Ingane because they had already protection. In fact, they were not reached out. The Boers where they were because the spears and the weapons, the few weapons which Africans had, could not penetrate the Boer lager, the wagon. Okay, members? I don't know whether the lesson is still on. Are you still there? Yes. Huh?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes, teacher.
We shall start from there. I can see time is not our ally. Our next lesson would be effects of the blood liver bat.
Teacher.
Thank you for listening. Yes, ask.
Yes. It's not yet time.
It's not yet time. We still have time.
It's not yet.
Yes.
Still have 9 minutes.
Let's end at 10:30.
10:30.
Ending at what?
10:30.
10:30.
Let us continue.
We can
Yes.
Let us
Finish
continue.
the effects.
Maybe.
Let us continue. Now,
Teacher, we
members,
still have 9 minutes.
okay. The Boer lager. This is the Boer lager I was talking about,
Alright.
which was the protection of the Boers.
Yes.
The Boers. Okay, let's move. We say that we are under effects. Dingane never wanted to lose confidence. The Great Trek, which made two groups to meet and crash over Natal, caused the battle. It is the Great Trek where the Boers moved from the Cape and entered the interior of South Africa. Of course, they crashed with the Zulu. So that one caused the battle of Blood River. Then Dingane sent the chief to Torokwa King, which was a clear indication that the two cannot live in harmony. Failure of land negotiation. the failure of land negotiations between the between the Boers and the Africans. Then the camping of Boer commandos on the banks of River Nkomen led to the war. Yes, River Nkomen, which was in the area of Zulu Natal. The Boer commandos camped there. And you know, when someone comes and you know, they were facing them to fight. Of course, even the Zulu Dingane had to prepare himself, and this one escalated the situation, accelerated misunderstanding, which led to the Blood River battle. Then we have looked at very many points. The coming of Boers. The Xhosa refugee had warned the Dingane in 1838 about the warrior. Excuse me. The Xhosa, how do you pronounce this word now? Pronounce for me that word.
Xhosa.
Xhosa. Xhosa.
Zosa.
Xhosa. And it is Xhosa. Xhosa.
Zosa is wrong. It's Zosa.
Xhosa. Okay. Excuse me. Now silence and we continue. These are the people who fought the Kapil Wars. Out together, at the Cape there was the war. Not at the Cape. There was a war between the Boers and Africans, and these Africans were the Xhosa. Okay, this was many Xhosa people or Xhosa people left the Cape. Those left the eastern part of South Africa and entered in the interior of South Africa. Some had reached where Dingane was, so they warned the Dingane that these Boers who had arrived here, they are the very people who were fighting us where we are. So when you see them, you have seen dangerous people. Don't handle them with a coward message. Handle them, handle them strongly. Use force to resist, because they had come to take away your leadership. As they fought us and we left and became in the interior, so they are now here disturbing. So this was a warning. The Xhosa or the Xhosa had sent signals. They had sent warnings. They sent warnings to Dingane. This might cause a war between Dingane or the Zulu and the Boers, the Boer trekkers. That is, then the camping of Boer commandos. We have finished that one. The rise of Boer nationalism. Nationalism, the Boers wanted to establish their own states. They wanted to establish their own state, that is nationalism. Let's go to effects. I'm going to be a little bit not faster, but effects of the effects of the Blood River battle. We are the effects of the Blood River battle. The Battle of Blood River was one of the wars which shaped the east of South Africa. This was because of the following. The Battle of Blood River, the Zulu were defeated. Of course, the Zulu were defeated and the Dingane was exiled. Then another one, the Zulu lost their land. The land between River Tegula and other rivers. The Boers took it under Pretorius, and this Pretorius. Then there was destruction of property, such as crops and huts, the houses for the Africans. Agriculture was disorganized due to destruction of crops. Then increased the instability in the area. There was increased instability in the area. Remember, Dingane had been defeated. Some people still wanted Dingane. Mpande also went somewhere. Mpande was also fighting to see that he's also taking over, becoming the next king of Zulu. So there was insecurity in the area. Then another one, there was massive loss of lives. 3,000 Zulu warriors were killed, okay, at only one battle. That's why even that place came to be known as the Battle of Blood River, the Blood River Battle. The Boers lost their fertile land. Then the Boers took away they took away 1,900 herds of cattle from the Zulu, and led to the division of Zulu royal family into those supporting the invaders, such as Mpande, and those supporting Dingane. Some Zulu people supported Dingane, others were supporting Mpande to take over. Then led to the outbreak of civil wars in Zululand. In other words, the Zulu people were fighting. Those supporting Mpande and those supporting Dingane. That was a civil war within the Zulu people. So a civil war broke out within Natal, the Zulu. So another one led to overthrow of Dingane in 1840 by Mpande under the support of the Boers. Then contributed to the rise of Mpande to power. Mpande rose to power. He took over and became the next king of Zulu. Then Dingane went to exile. It undermined the independence of Zulu since the Boers increased their control and concentration in that area. The independence of Zulu was like a paper independence. The Zulu had their independence, they were there under Mpande, but they were controlling nothing. Like some people who are leading kingdoms and they are controlling nothing. They can't sign even an LC later. So that is what happened with the Dingane. Dingane, sorry, with Mpande. Mpande was there, but he was just a figurehead, but not a real king, like a Dingane was and Shaka was. Then the next point, contributed to the formation of Natal Republic. It is time. Okay, we shall start from there. I respect time.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, nice time. Off the camera.
Nice time too.
So next week will be you, Mr. Nurdin will take you through some Southeast Africa next week.
Okay. Happy birthday, Chelimo, if you're still around.
Happy.